already know that he has speed, he's got power. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
Look at, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always the difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference.
Too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boy. I'm not saying nothing from not taking nothing from Canelo.
Canelo versus Crawford is being billed as the biggest fight of the year, and boxing expert Teddy Atlas isn't holding back with his take. Atlas believes Terence Crawford has everything it takes to come out on top, no matter what weight class he's in. He praised Crawford's skill, discipline, and ability to adjust in the ring. On the other hand, Atlas thinks Canelo Álvarez isn't the same fighter he used to be. He says Canelo has lost the edge and hunger that once made him great. Looking at his recent fights, Atlas feels Canelo's performance has dipped, and even goes as far as saying he's overrated when compared to Crawford. In Atlas's view, Crawford's sharpness and determination give him the upper hand in this high-stakes matchup.
That the urgency's not there, the fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right, if you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen. I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. He didn't embarrass himself, but he got a draw. Second one, you can make the argument he lost that. I know it was a different kind of fight, and he got better. But you can make that. You can make the argument he lost to Lara. He did lose to Mayweather. You can make the argument he was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15 or 16.
Mean Machine, who's gone toe-to-toe with Terence Crawford, says size won't be the deciding factor when Crawford takes on Canelo Álvarez. He believes Crawford's skills and ring smarts are on another level. According to him, Crawford's ability to think and adapt during a fight makes him too clever for Canelo. Mean Machine doesn't think the weight difference will matter much. In his view, Crawford's timing, fight IQ, and ability to adjust on the fly easily outweigh any size advantage Canelo might have. He calls Crawford one of the most strategic fighters of his time, someone who can control the pace, distance, and rhythm of a fight. And when it comes down to it, he says that's what really wins fights, not just size. In his mind, this fight favors the man with the sharper tools. And that, without question, is Terence Crawford.
No, it's not good for Crawford. Canelo's too big. Right now, my position changed. I think Crawford is too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boy. I'm not saying nothing from not taking nothing from Canelo, but the way when you say oh, he's too big, when you see Usyk fights and what Usyk did to the big guys like Joshua and Fury, so the size that doesn't matter. I think the skill level matters. And Crawford, he gained weight, but I think he's gonna be even faster, and his head works good in the ring. He's boxing IQ just on top. So I would say 50-50, but right now I'm kind of leaning more to Crawford.
And that's just because of what you saw Usyk do?
It's not I'm just giving an example. Size doesn't matter in the boxing. When they say Canelo is big and he's fighting 175, 168, and Crawford just moving from 147, 154. So I'm just putting an example that size doesn't matter, and the fighter makes the fight. I think it's just that I see that Crawford's training and that he's big too right now. So he gained weight, but not and lots of people gain weight that sloppy weight, I would say fat, but he looked like strong, massively strong. So I think it's gonna be a good one.
How did Terence feel physically when you faced him? Like, how is like his strength? Because yeah, a lot of people do make the point that Canelo's just maybe too big, too powerful for Crawford.
Crawford, I wouldn't say like his punches was like super strong, but his timing and accuracy is what makes difference.
Mean Machine draws an interesting comparison between the upcoming Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez fight and Canelo's 2013 showdown with Floyd Mayweather. Back then, Canelo was younger and less experienced. Mayweather used his speed, defense, and ring control to dominate the fight, leaving Canelo frustrated and outmatched. Mean Machine believes Crawford could pull off a similar game plan, using smart movement, sharp counter punches, and precision to throw Canelo off his rhythm and take away his biggest strengths. But he also points out a key difference: Canelo is not the same fighter he was in 2013. Since then, he's taken on top-level opponents, learned how to adjust mid-fight, and developed a level of patience and maturity that he didn't have back then. So while Crawford may have the tools to follow a Mayweather-like strategy, this time, Canelo brings a lot more experience to the table.
They throw hard, but they just throw. And he throws like his calculation for the punches and like timing and aiming to the right spots is just like on another level.
Do you think that's going to be the thing that complicates the fight the most for Canelo?
I think so, yeah. And we can go back a little bit to Mayweather Canelo, and Canelo was young and like Mayweather smart, but it can be like familiar fight like that. Even Canelo right now have more experience, and Crawford is still on his prime. So yeah, we will see.
From just your experience, you knowing boxing, like how do you think the fight will play out? Do you think it'll be a slow fight? Do you think it'll be tactical? Like, do you think Crawford?
I think it's gonna start a little bit slowly. They're gonna be careful with each other just to kind of like measure each other and see where they at. And like they're like that's why like they're like champs and they're like great ones. They just don't go like crazy like from the first round.
Regis Prograis sees things differently when it comes to the Crawford versus Canelo showdown. The former world champion doesn't believe Crawford's punches will do much damage to a naturally bigger, iron-chinned fighter like Canelo Álvarez. Prograis points out that Canelo has taken clean shots from some of the hardest hitters in the sport, guys who are naturally much larger than Crawford, and barely flinched. That said, Prograis isn't writing Crawford off completely. While he's skeptical about Crawford's power making a difference, he fully respects Crawford's skill, ring IQ, and determination. In his eyes, Crawford's top-tier technique, ability to switch stances, and smart fight planning make him a serious threat, even for someone as seasoned and physically strong as Canelo.
I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You gotta look at it, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. His head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, De Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is gonna respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about this might be, people might kill me for it, but not really. But this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right?